Hey, I'd love for you to join us live sometime on Facebook at facebook.com/pushcareers. Let's connect with our Facebook Live audience now. And welcome back to Open Phones. This is Brenda Cunningham with Push Career Management. Very excited to be back with you for another week. So here we go. This is the second to last Open Phones for the entire year. My goodness, I feel like we're just coming up on that mark where we can say we made it. We made it through one of the absolute hardest, most crazy, unexpected times. What was kind of poised to be one of the best start to a new decade, and then here we kind of came crashing down. And so sometimes our expectations are simply not met. And so that's okay. We don't have to have our expectations met at every turn for us to feel like we're making progress. It's okay. And so, hi, Erica, thank you. And so, right, so sometimes our expectations aren't met. We set goals, we do the very best we can, and then oftentimes we just come up short. Well, sometimes some of those shortcomings are because of our own bad habits. And so we have sometimes bad habits. Now, I've talked about things like distractions and excuses. I've talked about some of these things, and this is really along those same lines. There are certain things that we have been doing, whether knowingly or unknowingly, maybe willingly or unwilling or involuntarily, but we've been doing things that have been sabotaging ourselves, period. And so what can we do to try to overcome some of those things? So first things first, we're going to identify what some of those things maybe what they look like. And so be listening, right? Be paying attention, because if you find yourself in this message, then you know I'm talking to you and you can do something about it. We don't have to just kind of we're not doomed to repeat the same cycles over and over and over. We can break, we can do things differently as soon as we understand that we actually even have a challenge. And certainly once we understand how to move forward. And so I got you covered on both fronts. Here we go. All right. And good morning to you, Lula. Glad to have you here. And thank you for all of you who have been with us, faithfully this whole year. This has been just incredible to see you guys show up kind of week in and week out, ask your questions. And today is no different. Open Phones is a safe place for you to ask career-related questions. And so whether you are in a job search or you are on a quest for promotion, perhaps even pursuing entrepreneurship as opposed to conducting a job search to get back into the corporate workforce, wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, Open Phones is a safe place for you to come and ask questions and get qualified answers. That's the difference. All right. And so here we go. Some bad habits we are not going to carry into 2021. No way, no how. And so one of the first things is we've kind of forgotten about networking, and we need to get back to networking. We just have to. There is no way around it. Let me tell you something. I teach resume classes several times every week. And one of the things that I'm just like, look, there's so many hoops that people have to jump through in order for their resume to be seen. And so one of the best things to do is just to avoid the line. Skip to the front of the line. Like when you go to the amusement park, you can get that front of the line pass. That's what networking is. It's your front of the line pass. It's like you could bypass all these little systems because I got you. I have already put in a good word for you with the decision makers. And so this is what networking is. Don't forget to do it. And we have got to stop wimping out. This is one of the worst habits that I have seen, is that we are wimping out. We are too afraid. We are letting fear rule. And we simply do not have time for that. And so I see your question, Erica, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment. Stay with me. because we're going to get to these questions. And if you guys have questions, type them in the comments, and I'm going to switch gears over to questions in just a moment. All right. Now, another thing is following up. And so we talked about networking, but we also need to remember to follow up. This is a very bad habit that a lot of people have, is that they ask people for help and then they disappear, and then they never follow up. They never check back in. You are assuming that these people, that all they have to worry about in this whole wide world is you. But that's not true. There are things going on that you don't have visibility around. And so you don't know, some of you may not know that my house has been dealing with a flood, that I'm going through some stuff. And so if you've sent me a message and I haven't responded, it's not that I don't like you or value you. It's just that there are other things happening. So give me a chance to respond. Follow up again. It's okay. This is a definite bad habit we want to start breaking. Now, one thing that I noticed, this is December, and I think December might be the busiest month of my whole year, and it's the shortest month. And so if December is the busiest month, but I talked about updating your resume in September, why is it that everybody still tried to wait till the last possible second? This is a very bad habit that people have. Wait until the last minute. And so what ends up happening is you can't find the help that you're looking for. So my calendar is completely full for the rest of the year. It's a wrap. It's done. And so, right, if you wanted to try to get something done so that you can enter into the new year strong, can't do that with me. You may not be able to do that with a lot of other qualified professional resume writers, because they're also booked through the end of the year. And so what in the world? Let's stop waiting until December and let's start taking care of our resume updates, at least in real time, twice a year, or at the very least in September, where you still have time to get that thing done and to get it done well. All right. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, this December rush, this is a real thing. And so let's not underestimate it. This is a little bit of a different thing, right? Again, still kind of being proactive, but we're talking about things like doing something good for your home, for the space that you live in. If you know that there's something that needs to be addressed, this is a really good time to address it. And I'm telling you this from my personal perspective. With this flood, had I taken care to fill in some of the cracks in the tile grout, I might not have needed to get my floors replaced. And as it stands, I need to get my floors replaced. And so these little things, that one little probably 10, 20, even an hour long to-do list item has now turned into weeks and weeks of hard labor, extra costs, on and on and on. And so look at how these little things amount to really, really major cost for us. Now, I'm not your judge and jury when it comes to eating well and exercising, because by the Lord knows that I am not the poster child for this, but these are things that are affecting you. They are affecting your mood. They're affecting your productivity, your ability to kind of get up and do what you need to do. Sometimes you feel so crappy from the crap that you're eating that you can't muster the energy to get out and network or follow up with somebody. You just can't bring yourself to do it. And so, not the poster child, not the judge or jury, but just your reminder to kind of think about that. Think about that. Think about that. Now, if you're anything like me, I used to be deathly afraid of, there are certain things that you are fearful of. For me, I used to be deathly afraid of making phone calls. I can't describe it. It doesn't make sense. There's no kind of rhyme or reason to it. I would just like break out into a sweat, like, oh my God, like I couldn't bring myself to do this thing. And so one of the things that helped me to overcome, and here's where we're going to talk about solution. One of the things that helped me to overcome that fear was to not give myself a choice. And so here's the deal. I started to schedule appointments with other people. And so now there was a level of accountability that I had with this person and with myself. I'm not always going to meet my commitments to myself, but I do a much, much, much better job of meeting my commitments to other people. And so whatever it is, whatever bad habit you're struggling with, let's enter into this word accountability and start scheduling things with other people, because you might put something on your calendar and it never gets done because it was for you and you don't care if it got done or not. But once somebody else is paying attention, you're a heck of a lot more likely to do that thing and to do it well. All right, to show up on time, to do the thing that you said, et cetera, et cetera. And so we got work to do. We got work to do, and we can no longer hobble along with these bad habits that we have been allowing this year and in previous years. We don't have time for that. It is time to break out into some new, good, positive, productive habits that are just going to help you, period. All right. And so I hope that that's been helpful to you. I'm going to switch gears and look at least this one question that was over here. And then certainly you guys, please, please, please type in your questions. This is a safe place. All right. So Erica asks, I have a question about being overqualified. I've been in my position for 24 years. I kind of emphasize this on my resume. I didn't get an interview for a job in my field. I was shocked. With millennials being in charge, I'm thinking my longevity in the field is hurting me. Are there any suggestions? And so a couple of things are happening with this question. So you say, I've been in my position for 24 years and I emphasize this on my resume. And so that's kind of point number one, is the fact that you're emphasizing 24 years. You're like super proud of it. You're clearly an expert, but you're emphasizing it. And so the person reading your resume is probably going to start assuming that they know how old you are. Now, I happen to know you personally, and you don't look anywhere near how old you actually are. And so I'm like, whoa, nobody should know that you are whatever age. Nobody should know these things, okay? And so if you have 24 years of experience, we can say things like 15 plus years, because 15 plus accounts for 16 and accounts for 24 as well. While still giving that level, that high senior level of expertise and mastery, but also not necessarily invoking that like, ooh, she's been doing it for so long that I might not be able to train her out of the way that she's used to doing things. She might require too high of an income, right? There are all these, she may not know today's technology if she's been doing it for 24 years. Is she up to date with today's tech? And so a lot of these questions come into play when you see really high numbers like 24 years, 35 years, 40 years of experience. And so listen, the first question that I'm going to ask myself is, do I want to be applying for kind of an entry-level job? Why aren't you pursuing senior level positions if you've got 24 years of experience and you could probably do this thing? You could probably run circles. Why is the millennial hiring you as opposed to you hiring them? You have a level of mastery and expertise that is unparalleled, is what it sounds like to me. And so sometimes when we get the word overqualified, it's an indicator for us to either start consulting, right? Launch our own thing, okay? Or definitely to start pursuing higher targeted levels in your career field. Not being okay with necessarily just kind of applying for that middle of the road kind of position. It might be time to embrace the fact that you need to be the head honcho, okay? And so let me know if I'm missing the mark in any way, but that's a little bit of what I'm hearing. Now, sometimes overqualified, it is just it's a cop out. I mean, it's their way of kind of discriminating against you on the basis of age without saying so, right? They're not going to ever come out and be like, oh, you are just too old. They're just going to be like, oh, you are overqualified. So sometimes it is a matter of, this is an entry-level position and your skills are just way too much. We know you're going to leave. Other times it's masking something else. And more often than not, it's an indication that you need to be pursuing something even higher. Now, You say it was a senior property manager position. I just wanted to change companies. The requirement is typically 3 to 5 years. And so, yeah, I'd be looking at what is the next rung beyond senior property manager. It sounds like at least a decent fit, but what's next? Is it, vice president? Is it whatever? Like, it's okay. We don't have to be in fear. Fear does no longer rule us. Didn't we talk about that? That's a bad habit we're not taking into the new year. And so fear doesn't rule anymore. And so don't be afraid to step out into whatever that next level is. It's okay. It might just be time. And sometimes these things, these kind of forced changes, they kick us in the butt. And they kind of force us to make some serious moves. And so let me, again, interact with me. Let me know if I'm missing the mark. Cherie, you say, I did that for so long. I had to build myself up. And when I applied for the manager, I got the job. Yes. Great job. And congratulations, Cherie. Yeah, I know. And Cherie, you've done you've been diligent. You've been consistent. You're not like all over the place. Like, we know what your skills are. You've been building up these skills and experiences over the course of your career. And so this is good. At some point, we've got to understand we are no longer meant to be kind of middle managers, or we are no longer meant to be individual contributors. It is time for us to embrace those higher levels of influence, because we know all that there is to know on these ground floors. And it's time for us to start taking that escalator right the heck on up to the top. All right, what else you guys got for me? Because we got a couple minutes left, and I want to make sure that we are getting some good questions in here. So thank you for that. Just something that I saw earlier while we were waiting, and just to try to kill some time, something that I saw from Jody Lowe of You and Improve, just a brief video that was shared through the Better Business Bureau. She was talking about just kind of pausing and enjoying this season, right? And so Christmas, this whole holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate, whatever you do you. But whatever it is, we have a tendency to get caught up in the rigmarole of buying stuff and cleaning up your house for the in-laws and doing this and doing that, and like completely miss the whole point of the event, which is to enjoy your family. And so this is yet another bad habit that we can drop. We can leave it back in the past where it belongs. Let's drop that thing and let it go. Let's start to enjoy and embrace. Look, I have serious plans on my time off to do absolutely nothing. And I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to sit on my couch and watch movies with my babies. I'm going to play games. I'm going to take my dog for a walk. I'm not getting caught up and going shopping for anybody. It's not happening this year. If you were expecting a gift, scratch that, because it ain't happening. My focus is entirely different right now. And so let us remember the reasons why we celebrate. If you're a Christian like me, you're remembering that you're celebrating the birth of Jesus. It ain't about buying all this stuff and all the things that we're doing. So let's just kind of get back to basics here. And let's just leave some of these really, really terrible bad habits, things that have been holding us back. Let's leave them in the past where they belong, so that we can start with, we don't have no choice. I'll be darned if 2021 is just as bad as 2020. 2021 has nothing but potential as far as I'm concerned. We could go up from there. Let us not even embrace the thought that we might be in a worse predicament. We are going to get better. It must get better. It will get better. I declare it. And so what is it that you're declaring? Set your vision. Make your daily declarations. Set your daily affirmations. Say those things out loud. Let's embrace some good, positive habits. And for those of you who are struggling to break out of certain bad habits, again, remember the solution. Invite somebody else to be part of that journey with you. Set your calendar where somebody else is tied to it, so that it is not just you are accountable for, you are accountable to, but them as well. And so I pray, and I seriously pray that you guys are taking these videos and this information to heart, that you're doing something with it. Don't just let this be another good nugget that came in one ear and right out the other one. Do something with this thing. Push, 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 push. I know it's hard. I know it sucks. I know this year is terrible. It's okay. We have room. We have space to do better on the other side. I love you all, and I will see you next week for one final installment this year of Open Phones. See you next time, and of course, keep pushing. Bye-bye. All right. And so those of you who are watching us on YouTube, thank you for being here. I'm so honored to have you. Please consider subscribing. Please consider joining us sometime on our live interactive time at facebook.com/pushcareers. And for you as well, keep pushing. Bye-bye.